Hey everyone, welcome to Biopsych Lab. Just going to introduce some things that we are going to go over today. Before I do that, just want to talk about who I am briefly because you will be seeing me less than usual this semester. So my name is Marielle. I'm a fifth year grad student in the Cognitive Neuroscience program here. Research interests include trying to find neurointerventions to improve health and cognitive functioning, also interested in physiological correlates of impulsivity and how differences in impulsivity relate to problematic alcohol use or substance use disorders. Also going to be propagating celery, I decided, and I also decided to have you guys along for this journey. They say, do your dissertation, get a job, but I say, I think I need to focus on this for right now. So I know you guys will be as invested as I am during the semester as I try to make this happen. So today we are going to go over the syllabus. And then I'm just going to briefly go into more detail about Microsoft Teams, highlight some policies for remote learning, going to list some resources that might be helpful to you this semester, and then go over what the rest of the day should look like for your assignments. So I'm just going to jump to the syllabus. All right, so this is the syllabus. This class meets Mondays and Wednesdays. As you see, this one is for my second section at 4 p.m. So if you are in the 2 p.m. section, just ignore that part. So I am the instructor. My email is listed there. I have office hours by appointment. Dr. Urbe is the course coordinator, so she is my supervisor since I am a graduate student. If you have questions about the day-to-day activities of the class or what we'll be doing or if you'll be absent or anything really related to the class, I'm going to have more information about that than Kate, and Kate will probably just forward the email to me, to be honest. So I should be your primary source of contact. With that said, if you have any problems with me or the course or anything like that, of course, you're always welcome to talk to Kate. I'm just saying that I have more information about the day-to-day activities of the class, so in that case, it would be better to contact me. So I have the content highlighted here. So first, we're going to start off this week remote classes just because we're going over material to prep you for the rest of the semester. Just going to go over basic neuroanatomy concepts to help with the sheep brains. And then we're going to spend 5 class periods on the sheep brain dissections. So I'm going to go into more detail about that later in the syllabus. We're going to do 1 day on microscopes, 1 day on cranial nerves. Then we will do a unit on heart rate and electrodermal activity, otherwise known as the sweat on your skin. So you'll be running an experiment using each other as participants to try to test something that we came up with to look at differences in heart rate and EDA. Then we will do a unit on biofeedback and human-computer interactions. Then the cold pressor test. You will also do an independent project in here where you will use one of the methods we did. We went over sometime over the course of the semester to design your own experiment, and I'm going to go into a lot more detail about this later in the syllabus and also as the semester progresses. Lastly, we're just going to do a day or two on neuroethics, where you'll learn about a current hot topic in the field, a brand new subject of research about what regulations should be instituted for using neurotechnologies to change brain function and cognition. All right, so my grading policy. So attendance is graded in this class. You typically will get 1 point per day. There are exceptions that are noted that I'll go over later. Attendance is graded even for remote days, and I will go over how I will be grading attendance remotely. You'll have 1 quiz in here. It's a practical. So at the end of the sheep brain unit, there will be stations set up with a slice of sheep brain with a pin in it, and you're going to be required to identify the brain area that the pin is pointing to. We will have a practice quiz before this that will pretty much identically be set up as the SheepBrain actual quiz will be, except, different questions, different pins, but that'll really help you practice for the actual quiz. That's the only quiz or exam in this class. You will have 6 major assignments. These will all be able to be done in class. So you will never. Usually, I don't think you should ever need to take this home to do, figuratively speaking, because you'll probably be at home for most of these. But anyway, they should be able to be done in the class period. Then you'll have 3 lab reports, one at the end of the SheepBrain dissection unit, one at the end of the heart rate GSR unit, and one at the end of the cold pressor unit. As these come up, I will go into great detail about what I expect for these, and I'll give you instructions on how these should be formatted. Then the last assignment that you'll have is the independent project. So like I mentioned, you'll just take one of the methods we used in class to create your own experiment. So you'll write a report on that and also give a oral presentation. All right, so attendance. So since this is a lab, it's expected that you will be here every class. Of course, I know this is not a normal semester, but as much as you can, it's really helpful to be there. So unless you're sick, I do expect everyone to be there just because it's so hard to make up these lab classes since they're so hands-on. And yeah, but with that said, of course, if you're sick, please do not come to class. But if you're not sick, I expect you to be there. On days that are remote, there will be a list of agenda items sent to you over Microsoft Teams. So I'm going to be using Microsoft Teams to communicate with you on days that are remote. So every day that's remote, you'll start your class by logging into Microsoft Teams, and I will have sent you the assignment for the day. So I'm using a checklist, and it'll say something like, in order to receive attendance credit today, please complete the following, and you'll just check off each thing as you've done it. Hopefully that I did that just to provide structure and make sure that you know exactly what's expected for you each day. So then as long as you check off all those things and submit all the things that I indicated for the day, you'll receive attendance credit. So Microsoft Teams will only be used for remote work. So if you have any questions outside of class or need to contact me for any other reason outside of those remote days, I'm most accessible by email. I just wanted to know, I'm going to note this a few times, that this class is delivered in a synchronous format. So on days that are remote, all classwork and assignments are expected to be completed within the time that the class is scheduled on RamWeb. So just to be very transparent and explicit, if your class is scheduled from 2 p.m. to 3:40, I expect all the agenda items in Microsoft Teams that I sent you for that day to be completed by 3:40. And let me know if you have any extenuating circumstances. Last semester I had someone who went home to Hawaii while things were shut down, and the time difference made it very hard for her to complete the assignments during the time of the class. So if there's anything like that that's going on, let me know, and we can of course accommodate. Also, if you have childcare issues, anything that would make it very hard for you to conform to the time period that the class is already scheduled. So my late policy, I skipped lab reports. So like I mentioned, there will be 3 lab reports at the end of those 3 units, in addition to the independent project. So I will overview the instructions for each lab report and review them before each one is due, so you'll know exactly what's expected to you, and I'll upload this to Canvas. Each lab report will consist of an intro, method, results, and discussion section. And each lab report is due to Canvas at 11:59 p.m. So this is one of the main exceptions to when I just said that all the assignments should be done within the class period. The lab reports you do have until the end of the day to do. So the daily assignments that I give to you over Microsoft Teams, that is due at either 3:40 or 5:40, depending on what section you're in. The lab reports are always due at 11:59 p.m. That is also noted on Canvas when you submit the report. And please let me know if there's any questions or clarifications that I can make about that. So the late policy, each assignment is due by 11:59 p.m. or if it's an in-class assignment on remote days, it's due at the end of the class period. I do not accept late assignments unless you have a excused absence. With that said, I want to work with you here. So if you are going through something, we're all going through something very difficult here. So if you are struggling to get things in on time, please just communicate with me and we can definitely work something out. I'd rather you communicate with me beforehand and we can work something out rather than you just not submitting something and losing credit for that day or that assignment. So please communicate with me as much as you can, and I'm completely open to making things work in a way that works for both of us. So for formatting, all items turned in, this is really just pertaining to the lab reports, must follow APA formatting. So what I mean by that is Times New Roman 12-point font, 1-inch margins. You can read the rest. The title page is optional. I'm very strict on APA formatting. I'm going to take off if you're missing any of these things. So please take the time to make sure that you are following APA format as best you can. If you have any questions about anything, let me know. I'm also more than open to looking over your lab reports before you submit. So you can just send me your lab report before the due date. I'm very happy to look that over for you, even if it's just a partial draft or any questions about that. There are 2 resources I have here where you can use to get APA formatting correctly. The APA manual, I think they're actually on their 7th edition now, but 6th or 7th is fine. If you're going to grad school for psychology, this is a useful resource to have anyway. So that will tell you how to write an APA format. You can also use this Purdue OWL website. So course communication. I'm only using Canvas. I'm using Canvas to have you guys submit lab reports. I'm also going to list the lab report instructions on there. I'll also have copies of the lectures on there as well. So mainly Canvas is just going to be used to submit lab reports, to have information about the lab reports on there, and I'll have copies of the lecture. There will be some other information I'll put on there, but mainly it's just for lab reports. And then Microsoft Teams is going to be used to communicate for more of a day-to-day thing. So as I've mentioned, I'm just going to repeat this a couple more times to make sure it's clear. So every time that there's a remote class period, please log on to Microsoft Teams and there will be the daily assignment for the day. All right, so COVID-19, a lot of these things I was told to put in my syllabus from my supervisors, but all right, so yeah, we all need to work together as a team this semester. I am being as responsible as I can. If I'm feeling even a tiny bit sick, I'm not going to come in. I'm going to be honest with you, and I really expect the same for you. And your classmates expect the same from you as well. Please do not come into class just because you don't want to miss an assignment. If you're feeling a little sick, it's not the right thing to do. Please email me. I know I said it's hard to make up these assignments, but we can do it. I'd much rather find a time to make up the assignment when you're feeling better than have you come in when you're feeling sick. So personal protective equipment and cleaning requirements. So in this class, we will require face shields and face masks. You must wear both of these for the duration of the class period. You are required to provide your own face mask. I'm just going to jump down a little bit here to the mask policy. So you must wear your mask during the whole class period. And I just want to point out that they say that gaiters and balaclavas or masks with exhalation valves or vents do not conform to CDC guidelines. So please do not wear gaiter, balaclava, buff, anything like that. You will not be allowed into the class. So please have a actual mask on, or else I am unfortunately not allowed to let you into the classroom. So that's the mask policy. If you do not have access to this, let me know. We do have a number of one-time use masks that were given to us, but There's really not a lot there, so those are just in case someone forgets a mask one day, but please do not rely on those. So jumping back up to face shields, we also have face shields provided for us. So as far as I know, we have one face shield per student. So you'll be assigned a face shield the first day of in class, so that will be next Monday. And then you'll keep that for the semester and then return it at the end of the semester. So you will need to have a face mask and a face shield during each class. All right, so I don't know if you've been in this classroom before. It's Clark C71 in the basement. The Cog Neural Lab class is also in this room if you've taken that before. So there's actually two rooms in this room. There's the main room, that's the classroom where in a non-pandemic semester, everyone would be in the main room and we'd have a lecture. And then there's a back room where we do some lab activities. But this semester, we're going to actually split the class up into subsections or like subgroups. So I'm just going to randomly assign and split the class into subgroups so that there's no more than 5 students in one subgroup. So 5 students will be in the front room at all times and 5 students will be in the back room at all times. The cap for each room is 6 people, so I am able to go back and forth between the two, never overcoming the capacity of the room. So you'll just be assigned to a subgroup, and you know, if you're in group A, you know that you'll always be in the front room for the entire semester. If you're in group B, you'll always be in the back room for the semester. And those will be randomized. You are also required to have a daily symptom checker in each in-class period. So you don't need to do this, at least for this class, anytime it's remote, but every time that it's an in-person class period, you're required to submit a daily symptom checker. So that is listed here. It's also on the Canvas page if you need to access it in a different way. So please, there's no way to verify that you have done this, but it's just on the honor system to please report your symptoms every day that you come into class. So if you have any special needs or anything from RDS, it's important for you to come to me within the first week and we can talk about what accommodations I can make for you to help you as best I can with the semester. Academic dishonesty, the only possible ways I can see where you would be able to even be dishonest about an assignment is a lab report. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, don't cheat. That's all I'll say about that. And then course content note, yeah, let me know if anything is going on with you personally and I can try to help out as best I can. And they have some resources here at the bottom. All right, so now the daily schedule. So this week, we're going to do an introduction, which is now, and then a brief neuroanatomy lecture. On Wednesday, you're going to finish up the neuroanatomy lecture and you'll have your first assignment. And then we're going to have 5 days of sheep brain dissections. So you're going to dissect 3 different sheep brains, 1 per day, and there's also going to be some study guides you'll complete as well. So these are going to be in person. If you note the far right column, if it's in person. If it is in person, it'll say yes, and it's also highlighted in gray. So you are required to come into class for the sheep brain unit. If you note on the 14th and the 16th, it's half in person. So the practice quiz is probably going to take about a half hour tops. So what I'm going to do is have subgroup A come in at the beginning of class, and then subgroup B come in within the last 45 minutes of class. So for example, if your class is from 2 to 3:40, group A will come in at 2, group B will come in at 2:50. And I'm going to go over this again when it gets closer, but that's just what that's going to look like. The same with the sheep dissection quiz. That's not going to take the full hour 40 minutes, so I'm just going to have Group A come in at one time, and then Group B come in at a different time. So that's what it means by half for the 14th and the 16th. So then for the microscopy unit, it's just one day. This is, again, half in person, so I'm going to pre-record a lecture for you to watch beforehand, and then you will come in. So I'll probably post the lecture. I'll probably have like the first half hour of class not in person, so you can watch the lecture. And then, so for example, if your class starts at 2, I'll say, okay, today you come in at 2:30. You have a half hour before that to watch the lecture on your own, and then you'll come in to play around with some microscopes for the rest. So that's what that means for half. So you'll watch the lecture remotely that day, but then come in to complete the in-person assignment. And then on the 23rd, there's just one day of cranial nerves that's completely remote. And then we move into the next unit of heart rate, GSR, or galvanic skin response. We have the introduction, which could be done remotely. And then you'll need to come in for data collection. So we're going to be hooking up, we're going to all be hooked up to EKGs to look at heart rate, and also GSR sensors to look at the sweat on our skin to collect data. And we're going to get a start on data analysis, and then you're going to finish up data analysis remotely. And I'm going to record demos on how to do that, and I'll definitely walk you through all of these things as they come up. Next, we have our biofeedback unit. So same thing, you're going to come in for data collection. You're going to be recording your respiration rate and your pulse, and then you'll be able to do the second half of that unit remotely. Then the next unit is cold pressor, which is all remote. So you have 3 days of that. The cold pressor is testing pain tolerance and other aspects of pain perception. So you're going to be asked to put your hand in a bucket of ice water as long as you can to test your tolerance and threshold and other pain perception measures. So I felt that this could be done at home because I imagine that ice and water is relatively easy to find. However, if you do not have access to ice, I will talk about that when the unit comes closer, and we can go from there if that is not, if you are not able to complete this unit. Then the rest of the semester is basically doing an independent project. So we have the intro to the independent project here. I have neuroethics put in the middle here because essentially I wanted to create as much remote time as possible before Thanksgiving for people who are going to travel. I just wanted to make a buffer of a week and a half of remote time in case you wanted to isolate. I recognize that you probably have other classes that might not be remote, but that was the goal there. So that's why neuroethics is in the middle of this independent project unit, just because I wanted to create more remote time before Thanksgiving. So from 10/26 to the end of the semester, besides these 2 neuroethics days, we're going to be working on our independent project. So like I've mentioned, you're going to be picking a unit that we learned about, a method that we learned about in class. So like heart rate, respiration, pulse, cold pressor, GSR. And you're just going to be designing your own experiment. So it can be anything you want, anything, doesn't even have to do with psychology, as long as it uses that method to answer a scientific question, then we can create that experiment. And then you're going to use each other as participants to collect data on each other, and you will analyze it and write it up and present on it. So first we just have the introduction, and you're going to spend a day just thinking about your experiment and what you want to do for it. You're going to then just keep preparing for data collection. We're going to have 2 to 3 days of data collection, depending on how fast it goes. So I have 3 days in here just in case it ends up taking longer than anticipated. But if we do get data collection done within these 2 days, then we don't have to come in on the 9th. So just to note here that these are the last 3 days that you will have to come in person, is just to collect data. And like I said, if we end up collecting data all on the 2nd and the 4th, we won't have to come in for the 9th, but we'll see about that. So then you'll just work on data analysis for a little bit. We're just going to jump into the neuroethics unit here. So there'll just be a few articles assigned to you, and we will discuss the articles remotely. Then we will finish up the semester with the independent project. So you'll complete data analysis. There will be Thanksgiving break. You will have another day for data analysis and to prep your presentation just to get all your ducks in a row if you need it. On the second, your only assignment is to submit the presentation to Canvas, actually to email to me. I'll go over this again when the time comes, but yeah, all you have to do this day is submit your presentation. You'll have a full day to view each other's presentations and submit questions for each other, and then the last day you'll just be required to answer the questions that were asked to you. So I just want to note that attendance points on some days are tripled, and those are on the data collection days, just because it is super important for you to collect the data. So we'll all be each other's participants in these experiments, and we already have a very low sample size. So if there are a lot of people absent, it's less than likely chance that we'll find significant results as the sample size decreases. So that's just added incentive to be there for those days. So just note that the days with the asterisks have triple attendance points. But of course, again, if you're sick, please let me know, and I won't take away attendance credit if you have a legitimate reason, of course. So, as the semester evolves and things might change, I might make changes to the syllabus as needed, but if I do, I'll always send out an email to let you know what the changes were, and I'll post a new version to Canvas. All right, so going back here, just going to go over Microsoft Teams in more detail. So the reason I chose Microsoft Teams is it has the ability to have quick chats and questions. So I'm going to have an individual chat with everyone. So if you look at this third bullet point here, everyone will have their own individual chat channel. I'm going to have like daily agendas for you to complete on your individual chat channel. And then you can submit your assignments to me confidentially. I also like that there's audio and video chat capabilities, and I'm going to create polls with daily agenda for the attendance items. There's also capabilities to submit files. So just want to note one more time that Microsoft Teams is for day-to-day activities during the days that are remote. Canvas is for submitting lab reports, your final presentations, where I will still submit grades. I'm also going to post some documents to Canvas as well, but I'll let you know when I do that. So again, attendance on remote classes is going to be measured by the daily agendas. So I'm just going to have something that says, for attendance credit, please complete the following, and then you'll just check them off as you complete it. And then you'll just submit the assignments by the end of the class period. Like I've mentioned, the exception is lab report, which is always due at 11:59 p.m. And just one more time, I'm going to note that this is a synchronous class, so even on remote days, assignments are due within the time period that the class is scheduled. Just want to include some other resources. I just want to say I don't wish to marginalize anyone due to accessibility issues, so if you have shoddy internet connections or unstable access to a computer, please let me know. There are resources within the department we can use to help you in any way that you need. I also have a backup of all class materials on Google Drive, so if for some reason Canvas and Microsoft Teams just completely shuts down or stops working, I have backups of everything I can send you. I'm not going to disappear. I'm going to be online at my computer during the entire class for every remote session. So you can ask me questions throughout the class period. I'll be there to answer. So I'm not just gonna drop the assignment for the day and like leave and do something and not be there for you. So I will be there for the entire class period. You can also schedule a meeting with me. Just email me about that and we can find some time to talk. And I have my email listed there for you as well. I have this Student Disability Center website here. If you have any complaints or questions about the online access, so like the way that I designed the course, there's a portal for you to have concerns and complaints there. You can also talk to Kate if you're unhappy with the way that I'm running things. Keep Learning is a good resource on Canvas to help with the transition to online classes. If you have any questions for the college, their email is listed here for you. This Johns Hopkins website I found is really good, up-to-date COVID information. And then we also found last semester this website for managing anxiety during the pandemic. All right, so today's plan. From here, you're going to go to Microsoft Teams. And if you have not accessed that before, you can follow this link. You're going to log in with your EID name that you use for Canvas, plus at colorostate.edu. So a lot of times this hasn't been working for students, but it should work if you do your EID name. So for example, my EID is ML Darwin. That's how I sign into Canvas. So for Teams, my username is mldarwin at colorostate.edu. And then your password is just whatever you log on to Canvas with. So once you're in Teams, you'll see that I have messaged you individually to complete the rest of the assignments for the day, so you can follow the instructions from there. I'm also going to create a group chat with everyone just to establish that in case you have any questions for the group or want to connect with other people. But for the individual chats you'll have for their assignments, if you can't get onto Teams or if you're having any problems, please email me as soon as you can, and we will work through the problems together. All right, thank you.